Marcus Williams checked his watch, 2:47 a.m., then returned to polishing the brass fixture on the hotel's main entrance for the third time that shift. The ammonia scent of glass cleaner still clung to his uniform from cleaning the lobby windows, mixing with the perpetual smell of expensive cologne that seemed to seep from the marble walls of the Fontainebleau Miami. His knees protested as he stood, a reminder of the shrapnel that had ended his military career 12 years ago. The earpiece crackled. "Marcus, you copy? Need you to check the rooftop garden. Motion sensor triggered, probably just the wind again." "Copy that. On my way." He secured his cleaning supplies in the utility closet, fingers automatically checking that his flashlight, radio, and first aid kit were properly positioned on his belt. Old habits from a different life. The service elevator hummed as it climbed toward the roof. Marcus pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over the photo he used as wallpaper. Zara and Nina grinned back at him from last month's beach trip, Zara holding up a shell she'd identified by its Latin name, Nina's silent laughter caught mid-motion as waves chased their feet. He'd worked 3 double shifts to afford that single day off, but seeing Nina smile, really smile, for the first time since Keisha's death, had been worth the exhaustion. The elevator dinged softly. 53rd floor. Marcus stepped into the rooftop garden, the humid Miami night immediately making his uniform cling. Wind rustled through the carefully maintained palms and birds of paradise, their shadows dancing in the artfully placed lighting. The city sprawled below, a carpet of light stretching to the dark void of the Atlantic. Movement near the east observation deck caught his eye. A woman stood alone at the glass barrier, her silhouette elegant against the glittering skyline. Designer dress, he noted automatically, expensive heels, posture of someone used to being watched, but desperately trying not to be seen. Hotel policy, said to announce himself, make sure guests knew security was present. But something in her stillness, the way she gripped the railing like it was the only thing keeping her tethered to earth, made him hesitate. He'd seen that look before. In the mirror, the night after Keisha's funeral, when he'd stood on a different rooftop contemplating how to keep going for his girls. Then his training kicked in, every nerve suddenly firing. A flicker of red light danced across the glass panel behind the woman's head. His body moved before his mind fully processed the threat, muscle memory from 1,000 hours of combat overriding everything else. "Don't talk, just listen." His voice came out command sharp, the tone that had once made green recruits snap to attention. "Drop to the ground. Now." Roll left behind the planter. The woman, Isabella, though he didn't know her name yet, turned slightly, lips parting to speak, the red dot tracked with her movement, settling on her temple. "Now." The bark of command worked. She dropped, designer dress hitting the wet garden tiles, and rolled left just as the glass shattered in a spray of deadly diamonds. The suppressed shot had been almost silent, but Marcus heard it, knew that particular whisper of death cutting through air. He moved in a low sprint, keeping his body between her and the shooter's probable position. Another shot sparked off the concrete planter, sending chips flying. Based on angle and timing, the shooter was in the office building across the street, probably 15th floor, southeast corner. Professional setup. This wasn't random. Isabella started to raise her head. Marcus pressed her down with one hand while pulling her toward the service door with the other. "Stay low. Move with me." She did, without question, and he filed that away. Someone used to crisis, or at least someone smart enough to recognize competence and follow it. They crab-walked to the service entrance, Marcus counting seconds, calculating reload times and sight lines. Another shot starred the door's reinforced glass as he yanked it open, shoving her through and following in one motion. "Service elevator," he ordered, already pulling her down the corridor. His radio was squawking. Other security had heard the breaking glass, but he ignored it. First rule, secure the principal. Everything else was secondary. The elevator took forever to arrive. Marcus positioned Isabella in the corner, least visible from either end of the hallway, his body a shield. She was breathing hard but controlled, eyes wide but alert. No panic. Good. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Security," he answered, which was true enough. The elevator arrived, and he pushed her inside, hitting the basement level. "When we get down there, you follow my lead exactly. Understand?" She nodded. In the harsh, fluorescent light, he could see her better. Asian features mixed with something European, maybe 35, makeup smeared but expensive. The kind of guest who usually looked through him like he was furniture. But her eyes held intelligence and a strange recognition, like she was seeing him for the first time and had been waiting her whole life for this moment. The basement was a maze of storage rooms and maintenance corridors that Marcus knew like his daughter's bedtime routines. He led her through a series of turns designed to break any potential following sightline, finally stopping in a supply room behind the laundry. Shelves of industrial detergent and bleach created a chemical smell that made Isabella's nose wrinkle. Marcus pulled out his personal phone, not the hotel-issued one, and dialed a number from memory. "This is Ghost 7, he said when someone answered. "I have an active shooter situation at the Fontainebleau, Miami. Professional setup, likely military-trained, targeting a hotel guest. One shooter confirmed, possibly more. Southeast position from hotel rooftop." He rattled off precise coordinates and wind conditions. "Victim secure in basement. Send FBI, not locals. This is beyond their pay grade." He hung up before they could ask questions, then turned to Isabella. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, then seemed to really see him for the first time. "You're not just security." "I am now." He moved to the door, listening. "Who wants you dead?" "I don't—" She stopped, and he saw the moment realization hit. "Oh God, the engagement. They actually—" "Later. Right now, we wait for federal response." He pulled a folding chair from behind a shelf, gestured for her to sit. 15 minutes, maybe 20. Shooter won't stick around after missing the initial shots." Isabella sat slowly, designer dress incongruous against the metal chair. "You saved my life." "It's my job." "No," she said quietly. "It's not. Hotel security guards don't move like you do. Don't know FBI emergency codes. Don't calculate wind speeds for sniper positions." Marcus said nothing, but his hand unconsciously moved to his left pocket where he kept his daughter's photos. Isabella noticed the gesture, saw the worn edges of paper visible at the pocket's top. "Thank you," she said simply. "Don't thank me yet. We're not clear until you're somewhere safe with people you trust." He paused. "Do you have people you trust?" The silence that followed told him everything. He recognized that particular brand of isolation, the kind that came with too much money or too much loss, sometimes both. His radio crackled again. "Marcus, where the hell are you? We've got broken glass on 53 and—" He turned it off. There would be consequences for that later, but right now, none of that mattered. He'd seen a red dot on an innocent woman's head, and everything else became secondary to keeping her breathing. "Your hand," Isabella said suddenly. Marcus looked down. His left palm was bleeding from a glass cut he hadn't noticed, adrenaline masking the pain. Before he could respond, Isabella had pulled tissues from her purse, designer, of course, and pressed them against the wound with surprising gentleness. "I should be doing this for you," he said. "You already did." She kept pressure on the cut, and he noticed her hands were perfectly manicured but strong, with a slight callus on her right index finger that suggested regular gun use. Interesting. What's Ghost 7? Nothing that matters anymore. It mattered tonight. They sat in strange intimacy in the chemical-scented room, her hands on his, both listening for sounds of pursuit that didn't come. Finally, sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. "FBI's here," Marcus said. "They'll take you somewhere safe. You'll need to tell them everything. Who might want you dead? Why? Who knew you were here?" "What about you?" "I'll give a statement. Then I'll probably be fired for abandoning my post and turning off my radio." "That's not right." He shrugged. "Right doesn't pay the bills. Listen, when they get here—" The door burst open. Marcus moved instinctively, pushing Isabella behind him, but it was FBI agents in tactical gear. The next hour was controlled chaos. Statements, evidence collection, Isabella whisked away by serious men in serious suits. She looked back once as they let her out, and Marcus nodded. "You're safe now." By 5 a.m., Marcus was sitting in the hotel manager's office, still in his blood-spotted uniform, explaining why he'd abandoned his post. The manager, a soft man named Brennan who'd never faced anything more dangerous than a spreadsheet, was working himself into righteous termination mode when the door opened. Isabella walked in, now in a simple t-shirt and jeans that somehow looked just as expensive as her dress had. 2 FBI agents flanked her. "This man saved my life," she told Brennan. "If you fire him, I'll buy this hotel just to fire you." Brennan sputtered, "Miss Chen-Rothschild." She let the name land like a bomb. Even Marcus recognized it, the tech billionaire who'd been on the cover of Time last month. "Isabella Chen-Rothschild, and Mr. Williams here identified a professional assassination attempt that my own security team missed, so perhaps instead of firing him, you should be promoting him." "I don't need—" Marcus started. "What you need," Isabella interrupted, "is to be compensated for saving a life. And what I need is to know that the man who saved me isn't punished for it." Brennan was already calculating lawsuit potentials and PR nightmares. "Of course, Mr. Williams was just following protocol. We're grateful for his quick thinking." "Good. Then he'll have his job when he returns." Isabella turned to Marcus. "You're coming with me." "That's not necessary. The shooter is still out there. The FBI believes there may be multiple contracts on me." She paused. "I trust you. Right now, that's a very short list." Marcus thought of his daughters, of who would pick them up from Mrs. Chen's apartment if something happened to him. But he also thought of that red dot, the professional precision of the shots. Whoever wanted Isabella dead wouldn't stop. "I need to make a call," he said. Isabella nodded. "We'll wait." He stepped into the hallway, dialed Mrs. Chen's number. The elderly Chinese woman who watched his girls answered on the second ring, already awake and making breakfast. "It's Marcus. I might be late today." "Aya, another double shift? Those girls need their father, not just his paychecks." "I know, it's complicated. Are they okay?" "Zara is reading that coding book again. Nina had a good night. No nightmares. You want to talk to them?" "No, let them sleep. Tell them I love them, and I'll be home as soon as I can." He hung up and returned to find Isabella in quiet conference with the FBI agents. She looked up as he entered. "There's been a development," one of the agents said. "We've identified the shooter. Former Navy SEAL, Marcus, someone you'd know, Tommy Hawk Morrison." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. Tommy Morrison. They'd served together in Afghanistan, had saved each other's lives more times than he could count. But Tommy had changed after his third tour, started taking contractor jobs that paid better than patriotism. "You know him," Isabella said. It wasn't a question. "We served together. Can you stop him?" Marcus met her eyes. "If I have to." The FBI agents exchanged glances. "We could use your help. You know his tactics, his patterns." "My kids—" "Will be protected," Isabella said immediately. "I'll assign my best team to them, discreetly. They won't even know they're there." Marcus wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed to go home, lock the door, and protect what was his. But Tommy wouldn't stop. He knew that with bone-deep certainty. Tommy never missed a contract, and if he discovered Marcus had interfered— "Okay," he said, "but we do this my way." Isabella's safe house wasn't what Marcus expected. Instead of some gleaming penthouse, she directed the FBI to a modest apartment building in Coral Gables. "I keep it under an alias," she explained as they climbed to the third floor, "for when I need to disappear." The apartment was simple but comfortable. Basic furniture, stocked kitchen, children's books on a shelf that made Marcus raise an eyebrow. "I sponsor a literacy program," Isabella explained, then seemed embarrassed by the admission. "Sometimes I read to the kids myself. When I can." While the FBI agents set up surveillance equipment, Marcus did his own security check. Sightlines, entry points, defensive positions. His body moved on autopilot while his mind raced. Tommy Morrison was out there planning his next move. Marcus knew him well enough to predict some of it. Tommy would have backup plans, contingencies. Missing the first shot would only make him more determined. "You should sleep," Isabella said, appearing beside him at the window. "You've been up all night." "So have you." "I'm used to it." Chronic insomnia. She handed him a cup of coffee, good coffee, not the swamp water from the hotel break room. "Your daughters," the agent mentioned daughters. "How old?" 11 and 7. The coffee was perfect, somehow exactly how he liked it. "You?" "No kids. No family, really, just shareholders and employees." "That's not the same." "No," she agreed. "It's not." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun rise over Miami. Finally, Isabella spoke again. "Why did you really save me? You could have called it in and stayed safe." Marcus thought about lying, giving her some noble answer about duty or instinct. But something about the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she'd pressed tissues against his cut hand, made him honest. "My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. I couldn't save her. All my training, everything I knew, useless against cells that wouldn't stop dividing." He took another sip of coffee. "When I saw that laser sight on you, it was something I could fight. Something I could stop." "I'm sorry about your wife." "Her name was Keisha. She was a teacher, 3rd grade. He smiled slightly. "She would have liked you." "Why?" "You didn't panic. She always said the best people are the ones who stay calm when everything goes sideways." Isabella's phone buzzed. She looked at it, frowning. "My head of security wants to know why I've gone dark." "Don't trust him." She looked up sharply. "Why?" "Someone knew exactly where you'd be at 2 a.m. Either you were followed, which my gut says you'd notice, or someone on your team gave up your location." Isabella stared at her phone like it might bite her. "James has been with me for 5 years. Tommy's contracts start at $500,000. How much do you pay, James?" She didn't answer, but her face told the story. She set the phone aside without responding to the message. "I need to check on my girls," Marcus said. "Use my laptop. Encrypted connection." He video called Mrs. Chen's apartment. Zara answered, already dressed for school in the uniform he'd saved 3 months to afford. "Daddy, are you okay? You look tired." "I'm fine, baby. Just a long night at work. How's Nina?" "She's eating breakfast." "Want to see?" Zara turned the laptop, showing Nina carefully arranging Cheerios into a pattern on the table. She looked up, saw Marcus on the screen, and signed, "I love you," with sticky fingers. Marcus signed back, his throat tight. "You girls be good for Mrs. Chen. I'll be home soon." "Are you catching bad guys?" Zara asked. She'd always been too perceptive. "Something like that." "Cool. Oh, I finished that chapter on encryption algorithms. Did you know that—" "Zara." Isabella had moved into view of the camera. "You're studying encryption?" Zara's eyes went wide. "Oh my God, you're Isabella Chen-Rothschild. You invented the Chen-Rothschild paradox for quantum encryption. Dad, why are you with—" "It's complicated, baby. I'll explain later." "Can I ask her just one question?" "Please." Isabella smiled, the first genuine smile Marcus had seen from her. "Go ahead." Is it true that quantum entanglement could theoretically create unbreakable encryption? Theoretically, yes, but the practical applications are still about 10 years away. What books are you reading? As his 11-year-old daughter launched into an enthusiastic explanation of her self-directed studies, Marcus watched Isabella's face transform. The guarded billionaire disappeared, replaced by someone who genuinely delighted in a brilliant child's curiosity. "Dad has to go," Isabella finally said gently. "But Zara, if it's okay with your father, I'd like to send you some better resources. Real textbooks, not just the simplified ones." "Really?" Zara bounced. "Dad, please?" "We'll talk about it." Marcus signed goodbye to Nina, promised again to be home soon, and ended the call. "She's brilliant," Isabella said. "Genuinely brilliant. With proper resources, quote. She's 11. She needs to be a kid first." "She can be both," I was. Before Marcus could respond, one of the FBI agents signaled from the surveillance setup. "We've got movement." Black SUV circling the block for the third time. Marcus moved to the window, staying out of direct sight. The SUV was moving too slowly, the driver scanning buildings. Not Tommy. He wouldn't be that obvious. Decoy? Or someone else entirely? He turned to Isabella. "Who else knows about this place?" "No one. I pay cash, different name, no paper trail." "Someone always knows." Marcus watched the SUV park across the street. 4 men got out, all moving with military precision. Not Tommy's team. These are contractors. Different outfit entirely. "How can you tell?" "Tommy works alone, or with maximum 2 others. And these guys are Eastern European trained. Look at how they check their corners." He was already moving, checking his borrowed FBI sidearm. "They're going to hit hard and fast." The FBI agents were already on their radios calling for backup, but Marcus knew they had minutes at most. "Fire escape," he told Isabella. "Move." She grabbed a go bag from the closet, smart, having it ready, and followed him to the window. The fire escape was old iron, painted countless times but solid. They descended quickly, Marcus constantly scanning for threats. They'd made it 2 floors when the apartment door above them exploded inward. Gunfire erupted, the FBI agents defending, the contractors pressing. Marcus pulled Isabella against the building's brick facade, out of the angle of fire. "Keep moving," he hissed. They hit the alley running. Marcus had memorized the area's layout while Isabella slept fitfully for an hour, old habits of always knowing escape routes. He led her through a maze of service alleys and parking lots, using dumpsters and delivery trucks as cover. Behind them, shouts in what sounded like Serbian, more contractors arriving. This wasn't just an assassination anymore, this was a full extraction team. "My car," Isabella gasped, pointing to a parking garage. "They'll be watching it." "Not this one." She led him to a beat-up Honda Civic that looked nothing like what a billionaire would drive. "I keep it for emergencies." Marcus hot-wired it in 12 seconds, another skill from another life, and they peeled out just as 2 SUVs screeched into the garage entrance. "Where?" Isabella asked. Marcus made a decision that went against every protocol he'd ever learned. "My place. They won't expect it." The drive to his apartment in Little Haiti took 30 minutes of evasive maneuvers, doubling back and running red lights when safe. Isabella said nothing, just held on and watched the mirrors for pursuit. Finally, Marcus pulled into the lot behind his building. It was a far cry from the Fontainebleau, water-stained stucco, barred windows, the sound of 3 different music styles competing from various apartments. But it was home. "Stay close," he said, leading her up the exterior stairs. His apartment was small, but meticulously clean. Zara's science fair trophies lined one shelf. Nina's drawings covered the refrigerator. It smelled like the vanilla candles Keisha had loved, which he still burned sometimes when missing her got too sharp. Isabella stood in the doorway, taking it in. "It's perfect." "It's poor." It's loved. There's a difference. Marcus checked his phone. 3 missed calls from an unknown number and 1 from Mrs. Chen saying the girls were fine at school. He'd deal with the unknown caller later. Shower's through there if you need it, he told Isabella. I'll make some food. While she cleaned up, Marcus made sandwiches with the last of the turkey and bread. He'd been planning to stretch it until payday, but that seemed insignificant now. His hands moved automatically while his mind worked the problem. 2 different groups after Isabella, Tommy's professional hit and the contractors. That meant 2 different contracts, possibly 2 different clients, or 1 client who'd hired backup in case the first attempt failed. Either way, it meant serious money and serious motivation. Isabella emerged wearing one of his t-shirts and a pair of Zara's sweatpants that were too short but functional. Without makeup and designer clothes, she looked younger, more vulnerable. Turkey sandwich okay? Perfect. She ate with genuine hunger, not the picked-at meals he imagined at charity galas. Thank you for all of this. Thank me when you're safe. Why do you live here? With your skills, you could do private security, make real money. Marcus gestured at the apartment. This is blocks from the girls' school. Mrs. Chen lives 1 floor down. The neighbors know us, watch out for us. That's worth more than money. But with money you could... I could what? Move somewhere where no one knows us? Put the girls in some private school where they're the only kids on scholarship? Money doesn't solve everything. No, Isabella said quietly. It doesn't. Marcus's burner phone, the one he'd kept from his military days, buzzed. Only 3 people had that number. He answered warily. Ghost 7. Tommy's voice, still smooth as aged whiskey. Heard you were at the hotel last night. Tommy, you cost me a contract, brother. You tried to kill an innocent woman. No such thing as innocent at that tax bracket. Tommy paused. This isn't your fight, Marcus. Walk away. Take your girls on a vacation. I'll even fund it. 50 grand, no strings. Just step aside. You know I can't do that. Yeah, I figured. Always were too noble for your own good. Another pause. The Serbians aren't mine, by the way. Someone else wants the princess, but Marcus, they don't have my rules about civilians. Your girls... You threatening my daughters? Marcus's voice went deadly quiet. Never. You know me better than that. I'm warning you. The Serbians don't discriminate. Get your family clear. The line went dead. Isabella had gone very still. Your daughters. Oh God, I've put your daughters in danger. Marcus was already moving, grabbing the bug-out bag he kept packed in the closet. We're getting them. Now. They took Isabella's Honda, Marcus driving with controlled urgency. The elementary school was 12 minutes away. He'd timed it repeatedly. 10 if he pushed. I'm so sorry, Isabella kept saying. Don't apologize. Plan. You're supposed to be some kind of genius, right? Think. Who wants you dead? She was quiet for a moment. Then, the marriage contract. My father arranged it before he died. A merger between our company and David Liu's. If I die before the wedding, my shares go to the Liu family trust. If I refuse the marriage, I lose everything anyway. So marry him. I'd rather die. She said it simply, factually. You don't understand. David Liu traffics in people. His legitimate businesses are just cover. My company's encryption would give him unbreakable communication channels for his operations. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. Your father knew this? My father was dying and desperate to secure the company's future. David's father convinced him it was the only way. She laughed bitterly. Imagine having so much money that selling your daughter seems reasonable. They pulled up to the school. Marcus scanned the area. Normal afternoon pickup chaos. Parents and nannies waiting, kids streaming out. No obvious threats. Stay in the car, he told Isabella. But as he opened the door, she grabbed his arm. They know what you look like now. If they're watching... She was right. Marcus sat back, thinking. Then he saw Mrs. Chen in her usual spot by the fence, and an idea formed. Can you speak Mandarin? Fluently. Good. You're about to become my cousin from China. He pulled out his phone, called Mrs. Chen. Auntie, I need a favor. Act natural, but listen carefully. 5 minutes later, Mrs. Chen collected both girls with Isabella beside her, chattering in rapid Mandarin about family connections and distant relations. To any observer, it looked like a routine pickup with a visiting relative. Nina ran to the car when she saw Marcus, signing excitedly about her day. Zara followed, still talking to Isabella about encryption, completely unaware of the danger. We're taking a trip, Marcus told them once everyone was in the car. But I have a science test tomorrow, Zara protested. This is more important. Something in his tone made both girls go quiet. Nina pressed against his seat from behind, small fingers gripping his shirt. She always knew when something was wrong, some instinct developed from losing her mother and her voice in the same terrible year. Marcus drove carefully, watching for tails. Isabella had switched to the back seat, letting Nina curl against her while keeping up a stream of gentle conversation with Zara about quantum mechanics. His burner phone rang again. Unknown number. Yeah? Mr. Williams? Female voice, accented. Not Serbian. Something else. My name is Li Wei. I work for Ms. Chen-Rothschild's mother. Isabella went rigid. That's impossible. My mother's been dead for 15 years. Li Wei continued as if she'd heard. She's been in hiding, waiting for the right moment to protect her daughter from the marriage contract. We can offer safe haven, but you must come now. The Fontainebleau Hotel, service entrance. 1 hour. The line went dead. Your mother's alive? Marcus asked. Isabella looked shattered. She died in a car accident when I was 20. I identified the body. You sure it was her? Isabella trailed off. The face was damaged, but the DNA test... DNA tests can be faked with enough money. But why? Why let me think she was dead? Marcus thought about it tactically. Your father controlled the company, controlled you. Maybe she couldn't fight him directly. Maybe disappearing was the only way to eventually save you. Or it's a trap, Isabella said. Probably. But we're going anyway? Marcus glanced at his daughters in the rearview mirror. Nina had fallen asleep against Isabella, trusting completely. Zara was reading one of Isabella's recommended papers on her phone, occasionally asking for clarification on terms. The hotel's public, lots of cameras. FBI will be processing the scene from last night. It's actually the safest place in Miami right now. What he didn't say, they were running out of options. The apartment wasn't safe, the safe house was blown, and driving around Miami with 2 kids and a billionaire with multiple death contracts was not sustainable. Isabella understood. Okay. They circled the Fontainebleau twice before Marcus was satisfied. FBI vehicles were indeed everywhere, plus local police and private security. If someone wanted to start something here, they'd have an army to deal with. The service entrance was quiet, except for a single woman in an elegant but understated suit. She was perhaps 60, Chinese features with threads of silver in her black hair. When she saw Isabella, her composure cracked slightly. Bao Bei, she whispered. Isabella made a sound like she'd been punched. Mama? Marcus kept his hand near his weapon, watching for threats, but the reunion was genuine. Isabella fell into her mother's arms, sobbing in a way that suggested years of held-back grief. Inside, the older woman, Li Wei was apparently a cover name, said, We have a suite secured. She led them through service corridors to a penthouse Marcus hadn't even known existed. The space was elegant but fortified. Bulletproof glass, reinforced doors, subtle positions for security personnel. Mr. Williams, Isabella's mother said formally, I apologize for the deception, but I've been monitoring my daughter for years, unable to act until now. Your intervention last night changed everything. You knew about the hit? I suspected something was coming. David Liu grows impatient. The wedding was scheduled for next month, but Isabella kept finding delays. Because I was looking for a way out, Isabella said, still gripping her mother's hand like she might disappear again. The death certificate, the accident, all staged. I discovered your father's plans for you, the true nature of the Liu family, but I had no legal standing to stop it. So I died, officially, and spent 15 years building a network to protect you when the time came. 15 years, Isabella repeated numbly. Every day apart was agony, but if I had stayed, if I had fought openly, we both would have died. Your father was not above eliminating obstacles, even family. Marcus noticed Nina had woken, was watching the women with those two wise eyes she'd developed since going silent. She tugged on Isabella's shirt, then signed something Marcus didn't recognize. Isabella's eyes widened. She says you smell like sadness, but also like hope. Her mother knelt before Nina, not speaking, just holding out her hands. Nina studied her for a long moment, then stepped forward and hugged her. The older woman's eyes closed, tears slipping down her cheeks. Zara, Marcus said quietly, take Nina to explore the suite. Stay where I can see you. His older daughter understood the real instruction. Give the adults space to talk. She took Nina's hand, leading her toward the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The Serbians, Marcus said once the girls were distracted. They yours? No, that's Liu's backup plan. If the assassination failed, extraction and forced marriage. Isabella's mother, she'd introduced herself as Mei Lin, pulled out a tablet. But I have something better than guns. I have proof. She showed them financial records, encrypted communications, shipping manifests. 15 years of evidence. David Liu's trafficking network, his father's involvement, connections to government officials in 12 countries. This is enough to bury them, Isabella breathed. If we can get it to the right people without dying first, Marcus pointed out. The FBI has leaks. How do you think the Serbians found the safe house? Marcus was in full tactical mode now. We need media simultaneously with law enforcement. Make it too public to suppress. I know someone, Isabella said. A journalist at the Washington Post. We were roommates at MIT before I dropped out to start the company. Can you trust her? She's the only person who came to my father's funeral just for me, not for networking. Marcus nodded. Make the call. While Isabella reached out to her contact, Marcus watched his daughters. They'd discovered the suite's game room, Nina teaching Zara some kind of clapping game. Normal kids doing normal things while their world shifted around them. Tommy called again. You're at the hotel, he said without preamble. Smart. Too public for what's coming. You giving up? Contract's been doubled. Sorry, brother. I've got bills too. Tommy -- 48 hours. That's what I'm giving you. Get clear with your girls. After that, I finish the job. And if I stop you? Then you stop me. Either way, one of us isn't walking away from this. Tommy paused. For what it's worth, I'm glad it's you on the other side. If someone's going to take me down, it should be someone who matters. The call ended. Marcus stared at the phone, remembering Afghanistan, a rooftop in Kandahar, Tommy dragging him to safety with 3 bullets in his own back. Now, they were on opposite sides of a different war. My contact can be here in 3 hours, Isabella said. She's catching a flight from D.C. Then we have 3 hours to plan how to survive the next 45. Mei Lin stood. I have resources positioned. With all due respect, ma'am, your resources haven't stopped anything yet. Marcus softened his tone. What we need is to go on offense. Make them react to us instead of the other way around. What do you propose? Marcus looked at Isabella. You said David Liu is here in Miami? For the wedding preparations, yes. He has a yacht in the marina. Then we take the fight to him. Tonight. Both women stared at him. That's insane, Isabella said. It's unexpected. Right now, he thinks he's the hunter. We change that dynamic. Everything shifts. You want to assault a yacht full of armed criminals with what army? Mei Lin asked. No assault. I want to talk to him. Talk? Isabella laughed bitterly. David doesn't talk, he takes. Everyone talks when properly motivated. Marcus pulled out his phone, scrolled through contacts he hadn't used in years. I need to make some calls. An hour later, 3 men arrived at the suite. Marcus's old squad, what was left of it. Diego, missing his left eye but still sharp as a blade. Washington, heavier now but still moving like the ghost he'd been in the desert. And surprisingly, Petrov, who'd been with Russian special forces before defecting and somehow ending up in their unit. Ghost 7 needs help, Diego said simply. We're here. Marcus briefed them quickly. Petrov whistled low when he heard about the Serbians. Those aren't just contractors. That's Marco's crew, ex-military intelligence. Very bad men. Can you get to them? I can get messages to them. Whether they listen. Petrov shrugged. Tell them their contract is void if Liu goes down. They don't get paid by dead men. While Petrov made calls in Russian, Marcus outlined the plan. It was simple, dangerous, and required precise timing. Isabella would attend the pre-wedding party on Liu's yacht that night, already scheduled, would be suspicious if she didn't show. Marcus and the team would infiltrate from the water, not to attack, but to position, to make it clear that Liu was vulnerable. I don't like using Isabella as bait, Mei Lin said. I'll be wired, Isabella said, and I know David. His ego won't let him hurt me publicly. Too many witnesses at the party. The Serbians will back off if Petrov succeeds. Marcus turned to Washington. I need you on Overwatch. Can you still shoot? Washington grinned. Better than you ever could. Diego, you're with the girls. Anyone comes near them, they don't walk away. Got it. Marcus looked at his daughters, still playing in the next room. Every instinct screamed to take them and run, but running wouldn't stop this. The only way out was through. One more thing, he said, pulling out his burner phone. He dialed Tommy. Changing your mind about that vacation? Tommy answered. Meet me tonight. Marina, Slip 47. Midnight. That's Liu's yacht? I know. Tommy was quiet for a moment. You setting me up, Ghost? I'm ending this, one way or another. All right, midnight. Isabella changed into an evening gown that materialized from somewhere. Her mother's planning, probably. Marcus tried not to notice how it transformed her from the woman who'd eaten turkey sandwiches in his kitchen to someone who belonged in a different universe. The wires integrated into the dress, Washington explained, showing her the nearly invisible tech. We'll hear everything. You get in trouble, say Tempest. We'll come get you. Tempest, she repeated. Got it. Marcus pulled on tactical gear that felt familiar as his own skin. 10 years since he'd worn it, but muscle memory didn't care about time. Dad? Zara stood in the doorway, Nina beside her. You look like a superhero. He knelt before them. I have to go do something tonight. Uncle Diego is going to stay with you. Nina signed rapidly. Marcus caught some of it. Danger, protect, love. Yes, there's danger. Yes, I'm going to protect Isabella. And yes, I love you both more than all the stars. He pulled them into a hug that might have been too tight. Whatever happens, remember that. You're coming back, Zara said. Not a question, an order. I'm coming back. The marina at night was a constellation of yacht lights reflecting on black water. Liu's vessel stood out, 150 feet of ostentatious wealth, music and laughter drifting across the harbor. The pre-wedding party was in full swing. Marcus and his team slipped into the water a quarter-mile out, using rebreathers to approach underwater. The yacht's hull loomed above them like a white whale. They attached to the stern, waiting. Through his earpiece, Marcus heard Isabella arrive, the subtle change in the party's energy. David Liu's voice, smooth and possessive. "Isabella, darling, I was worried you wouldn't come." "I've been reconsidering things," Isabella said. Her voice was steady, pitched to sound defeated. "Recent events have shown me I can't keep running." "Smart girl. Your father would be proud." Marcus wanted to punch through the hull, but he waited, counting seconds, watching for Tommy. 11:58 p.m. A splash, barely audible. Tommy, sliding into the water from a nearby boat. He surfaced next to Marcus, treading water in the shadow of the yacht. "This is stupid, you know," Tommy said conversationally. "Probably." "We could both die tonight?" "Probably." Tommy grinned, the same reckless expression from their first mission together. "Like old times, then." They climbed together, water streaming off tactical gear. The yacht's deck was divided, party forward, security aft. Marcus counted 12 guards, all armed, all alert. "Chen-Rothschild's mother sends her regards," Petrov's voice crackled through the comm. "The Serbians are pulling back." Contract cancelled. One problem down. Marcus and Tommy moved in synchronization, muscle memory from 100 missions. They took down the aft guards silently, zip-tying rather than killing. These were hired help, not the real enemy. Forward, the party continued. Isabella was cornered with Liu on a settee, his hand possessively on her knee. She looked fragile, trapped. Marcus knew better. He'd seen her true strength. "Now," he whispered. Washington's shot was perfect, shattering Liu's champagne glass without touching flesh. The party erupted in screams, guests diving for cover. Marcus and Tommy emerged from the shadows, weapons trained on Liu's personal bodyguards. "Nobody moves," Marcus commanded. Liu stood slowly, seemingly unconcerned. "Mr. Williams, the heroic security guard, do you know what you've done?" "Ended this. You've killed yourself and your daughters." Liu smiled coldly. "Oh yes, I know about them. Zara and Nina, such beautiful children." Marcus's finger tensed on the trigger, but Isabella stood, placing herself between them. "It's over, David. We have everything. Your trafficking routes, your buyers, your government connections." She pulled out her phone, showing a streaming feed. "It's uploading to every major news outlet as we speak. The FBI will have it in—" She checked the screen. 3 minutes. Liu's composure finally cracked. "You bitch, you have no idea what you've done. The people I work for will distance themselves from you by morning." Mei Lin's voice cut through as she emerged from the yacht's interior. She'd been there all along, hidden among the serving staff. Power protects itself by cutting loose liabilities. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Liu looked around wildly, calculating escape routes. But Tommy had moved to block the speedboat. Washington had the helicopter pad in his sights, and Petrov had emerged to cover the swim platform. "You're done," Marcus said quietly. Liu laughed, high and unstable. "You think this ends with me? You think Isabella's safe now? The contract's already out there. Someone will collect." "No," Tommy said, speaking for the first time. "They won't." Everyone turned to him. "I took the contract," Tommy continued. "Subcontracted to 3 other hitters, called them all off an hour ago. Told them the client was compromised, payment unlikely. They've moved on." "You betrayed me," Liu snarled. "You tried to threaten kids," Tommy shrugged. "I've done a lot of bad things, but I've got lines. Besides," he glanced at Marcus, "couldn't let Ghost 7 have all the fun." The FBI boats arrived in a rush of lights and loudspeakers. Agents swarmed the yacht, arrests happening in organized chaos. Liu was dragged away screaming about lawyers and connections. Isabella stood at the rail, watching him disappear into custody. It's really over. This part, Marcus agreed. The cleanup will take months. Years, maybe. She turned to him. What you did tonight was necessary. Was heroic. I'm no hero. Just a father who couldn't let anything happen to the woman who made his daughter smile while talking about quantum physics. Isabella stepped closer. Just that? And maybe, Marcus admitted, a man who recognized someone else trying to escape a cage. She kissed him. Not the desperate kiss of adrenaline or the performative kiss of cameras, but something quiet and real and promising. Get a room, Tommy called out, or a yacht. This one's probably available now. The next morning, Marcus woke on his couch to find his daughters making breakfast with Isabella and her mother. The scene was so domestic, so impossible, that he wondered if he was dreaming. Daddy! Nina spoke. Actually spoke, her voice creaky from disuse, but there. Isabella's mom is teaching us to make kanji. Marcus nearly fell off the couch. Nina laughed, actually laughed at his expression. She started talking last night, Diego explained from the doorway, right after you called to say you were safe. Just opened her mouth and asked if you were okay. Isabella came over, sitting beside him. The journalist published the story. It's everywhere. David's father has been arrested in Hong Kong. The whole network is collapsing. And you? Free. Legally, financially, completely free. The marriage contract was voided the moment David was arrested for felony charges. So what now? She looked at his daughters, working harmoniously with her mother in his tiny kitchen. Now I'd like to learn what a real family feels like. If you'll let me. We don't fit in your world. Then I'll fit in yours. Isabella? I've had 15 years of thinking my mother was dead, she interrupted. Years of being alone in rooms full of people. I'm done with that life. I want this. Burned rice and tiny apartments and daughters who ask about quantum physics and communicate in sign language. The girls need stability. I'm not going anywhere. Unless you want me to. Marcus looked at his daughters. Zara gave him a thumbs up. Nina signed keep her with sticky fingers. Guess you're staying then. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the Fontainebleau's rooftop garden, reinforced with bulletproof glass now, watching Nina and Zara drop flower petals down an aisle. The wedding was small. His unit, Mrs. Chen, some of Isabella's employees who'd proven loyal, the journalist who'd broken the story. Isabella had offered him a massive wedding, something befitting her status. He'd countered with City Hall. They'd compromised on this, the place where they'd met, transformed from a site of violence to one of joy. You sure about this? Tommy asked, standing as his best man. He'd turned state's evidence in exchange for immunity, his testimony putting away a dozen international criminals. She's got billions. You've got a military pension and 2 kids. She's got us, Marcus corrected. We've got her. Isabella appeared, wearing a simple dress that probably cost more than his annual salary, but somehow looked like it belonged to the woman who'd learned to make kanji in his kitchen. Her mother walked her down the aisle, 15 years of separation adding weight to every step. When they reached him, Isabella's mother took Marcus's hand and placed it over Isabella's. Take care of her. With my life. The ceremony was short. When the officiant asked about vows, Isabella spoke first. You saved me with 2 words, don't talk. So here are 2 more. I'm home. Marcus's throat was tight. You gave my daughter her voice back. You gave all of us a future. So here's my vow. I'll always listen. They kissed as the sun set over Miami, his daughters cheering, their chosen family applauding. Later, at the reception in the hotel's ballroom, Brennan had insisted on hosting, still terrified of lawsuits. Marcus watched Isabella teach Nina to code on a tablet, while Zara peppered Mei Lin with questions about her years in hiding. You did good, Ghost, Washington said, joining him at the bar. We all did. No, you did something harder than any mission. You let someone in. Marcus thought about Keisha, how she would have loved this moment. Not replaced, never replaced, but expanded. Love growing rather than diminishing. Mr. Williams? A young woman approached nervously. I'm Sarah Chen from the Times. I was hoping for a quote about your remarkable story. No story, Marcus said. Just a security guard who did his job. Sarah looked at Isabella across the room, now lifting Nina onto her shoulders while Zara demonstrated some kind of victory dance. That's not what she says. She says you're the bravest man she's ever met. She's biased. She's brilliant, and she chose you. After Sarah left, Isabella appeared at his side, Nina sleeping in her arms. Ready to go home? Which home? Your penthouse? Our apartment. I had Zara's room expanded and added a proper study. Nina's getting soundproofing so she can practice talking without feeling self-conscious. And your room, our room, has a new bed that doesn't squeak. You renovated? I invested in our life. They left together, his unit providing one last escort. As they drove through Miami, Nina stirred, mumbled, "Love you, Mama Bella," and fell back asleep. Isabella cried silently, happy tears that Marcus kissed away at a red light. Back at the apartment, they found Mei Lin had beaten them there, already making tea in the kitchen she'd helped reorganize. A proper kitchen needs proper flow, she announced. You're all moved in upstairs? Isabella asked. The apartment was available, Mei Lin said innocently, and someone needs to watch the girls when you two are working. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Working? Isabella grinned. Did I forget to mention? I'm starting a new company, security consulting, specializing in protecting vulnerable populations. I was hoping you might run the tactical division. Isabella. Day shift, full benefits, bring your daughters to work encouraged. She paused. Also, Zara's been accepted to a STEM program for gifted students. Full scholarship before you ask. She earned it on merit. When did... She's been taking online tests for weeks. Your daughter is certified brilliant. Marcus sat heavily. This is too much. This is family, Mei Lin said. Real family helps each other rise. Nina woke enough to stumble to her room, signing good night to everyone. Zara hugged them all, then disappeared to study. Just one more chapter on neural networks. Alone finally, Marcus and Isabella stood on their tiny balcony, looking out at the city. Regrets? She asked. Never. It's not the life you planned. Neither was losing Keisha. Neither was raising the girls alone. Neither was you. He pulled her close. Life doesn't care about plans. It gives you moments, some terrible, some beautiful. The trick is recognizing which ones to hold on to. And I'm one to hold on to? You're the one who held on first. That night, in the basement, with the chemicals and bad sandwiches, you could have walked away once the FBI came. Instead, you stayed. You saved my life. You saved ours right back. They stayed on the balcony, watching the city sleep. Somewhere out there, Tommy was starting his new life in witness protection. The FBI was still unraveling Liu's network. The world kept spinning with its threats and promises. But here, in this small apartment with sleeping daughters and future possibilities and love that grew from the most unlikely soil, Marcus Williams had everything. Don't talk, Isabella murmured, echoing that first night. Just listen. And in the quiet, he heard it all. Nina's peaceful breathing, Zara turning pages, Mei Lin humming while cleaning, the city living around them. The sound of a life rebuilt, a family chosen, a future earned. He kissed his wife's forehead. I'm listening. Good, she said, because tomorrow I want to talk about adopting. Marcus laughed, soft enough not to wake the girls. Of course you do. Too soon? Ask me in the morning. But he already knew the answer would be yes. Because that's what family did. It grew, expanded, included. It turned security guards into heroes, billionaires into mothers, silent girls into speakers of truth. The phrase that had saved them echoed one more time, transformed. Don't talk, just listen, to hope, to possibility, to love that transcends loss. In the distance, Miami glittered with danger and promise in equal measure, but here, in this small space made infinite by love, they were home. 6 months later, the adoption papers were signed for Kai, a 4-year-old boy whose parents had been victims of Liu's trafficking network. He spoke Mandarin and English in equal measure, charming Mei Lin and following Marcus around with fierce devotion. Nina had started speaking in full sentences, selective but sure. Her first presentation at school was about family structures in nature, how some of the strongest bonds weren't blood but choice. Zara had placed first in the state science fair with a project on encryption that Isabella helped refine, but was entirely Zara's innovation. MIT had already sent preliminary interest letters. Marcus ran the tactical division of Isabella's new company, training security teams to recognize real threats versus perceived ones, to protect without prejudice, to see the humanity in everyone they guarded. Tommy, from Witness Protection, sent encrypted messages with suggestions and terrible jokes. The apartment had been expanded. Isabella bought the entire floor, turning it into a sprawling family compound disguised as separate units. But they still gathered in the original kitchen, around the same table where Marcus had served that last turkey sandwich to a billionaire on the run. "Tell us the story again," Kai demanded one evening, climbing into Marcus's lap. "Which story?" "How Daddy saved Mama from the bad men," Nina said, her voice clear and strong. Isabella laughed from where she was helping Zara with calculus. "Your daddy didn't save me. We saved each other." "That's not how Daddy tells it," Zara said. "Your daddy's modest." "Your mama's revisionist," Marcus countered. Mei Lin looked up from the kanji she was teaching Kai to make properly. "You're both right. That's what makes it a love story." Later, after the kids were asleep, Marcus and Isabella returned to their balcony. It had been reinforced and expanded, but the view remained the same, Miami stretching out in all its complicated glory. "Any regrets now?" Isabella asked, a ritual question that had become their evening tradition. "Only one." She tensed slightly. "What?" "I should have let you renovate the bathroom sooner. That rainfall showerhead is life-changing." She hit him lightly. "I'm serious." "So am I. That shower—" "Marcus." He pulled her close. "No regrets. Not one. Every hard moment led here. Even losing Keisha, in some cosmic way, prepared me to recognize you." "You think she would have liked me?" "She would have loved you. Would have said you were exactly what we needed." He paused. "Sometimes I tell her about you in my head. Thank her for making me the kind of man who could love again." "I talk to my father sometimes," Isabella admitted. "Tell him I understand now. He was trying to protect me the only way he knew. Wrong way, but from love. Family's complicated. Ours especially. Wouldn't have it any other way." A year later, at the grand opening of the Chen Williams Center for Refugee Protection, Marcus stood in dress blues he hadn't worn in over a decade. Isabella spoke to the crowd about second chances, about the security guard who'd recognized humanity over profit, about building bridges across impossible divides. Nina performed a song she'd written, her voice growing stronger with each verse. Zara presented the center's revolutionary security system she'd helped design. Kai demonstrated the self-defense moves Marcus had taught him, earning applause. Tommy appeared briefly, beard grown out, technically not supposed to be there, but unable to miss this moment. "You did good, Ghost," he said, then vanished back into his new life. As the evening wound down, Mrs. Chen, now the center's honorary grandmother, pulled Marcus aside. "That first morning, when you came home so late, I knew something had changed. How? You looked like you'd remembered how to fight for something beyond survival. Marcus watched Isabella teaching a refugee child to code on a tablet, Mei Lin organizing the kitchen staff with military precision, his children weaving between guests like they'd been born to this hybrid world of service and privilege. Still fighting, he said. No, Mrs. Chen corrected. Now you're building. The story could end here, family complete, purpose found, love triumphant. But life, Marcus had learned, didn't really end. It transformed, evolved, surprised. 2 months later, Isabella discovered she was pregnant. The announcement came at their weekly family dinner, causing Zara to immediately calculate college fund requirements, Nina to start suggesting names in sign language, and Kai to declare himself the best big brother in advance. Twins, Isabella added casually, causing Marcus to actually drop his fork. Twins? Your genes, my ambition. They didn't stand a chance at being singular. Mei Lin was already planning nursery layouts. Mrs. Chen was knitting at double speed. The entire extended family, blood chosen and acquired through crisis, rallied around the news. That night, Marcus stood in what would become the nursery, Isabella beside him. Through the window, Miami pulsed with its eternal rhythms. Scared? She asked. Terrified. Good. Keeps you sharp. She took his hand, placed it on her still flat stomach. They're going to grow up in a world where their father is a hero, their mother is a CEO, their siblings are geniuses, and their grandmother came back from the dead. No pressure. All the pressure, but look what pressure made. Diamonds from coal, us from impossibility. Poetic. I have my moments. The twins were born during a hurricane, because of course they were. Marcus drove through flooding streets, Isabella timing contractions in the back seat, the kids providing commentary via video call from Mei Lin's apartment. 8 hours later, Layla Keisha Williams and David Thomas Williams, after Tommy, not Lou, entered the world screaming. Nina sang them quiet. Zara calculated their optimal feeding schedules. Kai appointed himself guardian, sleeping on the hospital room floor until nurses brought him a cot. Our family's complete, Isabella murmured, exhausted but radiant. You said that after Kai. I was wrong then. Now quote, now you'll be wrong again when the next surprise comes. She laughed weakly. No more surprises. But there would be. A fourth child, adopted after another trafficking ring was broken up using intelligence from Isabella's network. Zara's early admission to MIT at 15. Nina's selection for a national youth choir. Kai's emergence as a chess prodigy. Tommy's eventual return to Miami under a new identity, opening a security firm that partnered with theirs. There would be challenges, assassination attempts from Liu's remaining associates, all thwarted by Marcus's perpetual vigilance. Corporate takeover attempts that Isabella defeated with Zara's coding assistance. Medical scares that drew the family closer. But sitting in that hospital room, surrounded by their beautifully chaotic family, Marcus saw only the immediate future, sleepless nights and first smiles, teaching new humans to walk and talk and trust. The same future every parent faced, made extraordinary only by the journey that had brought them here. I love you, Isabella said, both babies finally quiet in their arms. Don't talk, Marcus replied softly. Just listen. And in the quiet of a Miami dawn, with their family complete, for now, they listened to the sound of hearts beating in rhythm, lives intertwined, love that had conquered impossible odds. The security guard who'd saved a billionaire, the billionaire who'd saved him right back, the children who'd saved them both. And now, 2 new souls to carry the story forward. Outside, Miami woke to sun after storm. Inside, the Chen Williams family began another day of their beautifully ordinary, extraordinarily earned life. Don't talk, just listen. To love, to hope, to the future they'd fight for, one heartbeat at a time.